This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 3 hours, 55 minutes and counting. The countdown towards launch of STS-2 at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Thursday morning is going very smoothly. The countdown was picked up at the T-minus 8-hour point at 12:40 a.m. this morning after a very hectic day of analysis of problems in the orbiter and of fixing those problems. Originally, it was thought that a pulse code modulator was at fault during an electrical check of systems, and then it was determined that it was actually a multiplexer demultiplexer, and MDM number 3, which is located in the crew compartment of the orbiter. A multiplexer demultiplexer is just a mouthful of words for describing a system which takes information from sensors and various systems on board the orbiter and changes it into a digital format or one in which a computer understands, and then it's put through the pulse code modulator to be sent to the computers either on board, back here in the firing room, or to one of the consoles here in the firing room. The MDM was changed out initially on Wednesday morning. The replacement turned out to be faulty also, with its redundant or secondary portion of it not operating properly. A third MDM was flown in from the West Coast, which had been slated for the orbiter 099, the Challenger orbiter. That arrived here at the Kennedy Space Center approximately 9 p.m. last night. Within a half hour, it was up in the White Room on the pad and installed in the orbiter by 10:30 last night. In just an hour and a half, it had been completely checked out and checked out satisfactorily. They started cleaning up the area, replacing the panels, the lockers which were in front of it, as the astronauts went through a switch checklist. This is about a 2.5-hour checklist in which all of the switches on board the orbiter are checked to ensure that they're in the proper position to support the countdown and the launch. The countdown was picked up at the T-minus 8-hour point at 12:40, and at approximately 3:40, we began the chill down of the liquid oxygen and the liquid hydrogen systems, and at the present time are in fast fill. In the liquid oxygen system, we're approximately have the tank about 20% full. This is a process which goes on for about another hour and is one of the critical elements in the preparation of the vehicle. All of the weather forecasts that we've been hearing appear to be satisfactory for a launch on time at 10 a.m. The countdown clock continuing at T-minus 3 hours, 51 minutes, 35 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 3 hours, 40 minutes and counting. The countdown towards launch of STS-2 at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time going very smoothly, with the liquid hydrogen tank above 50% filled and the liquid oxygen tank probably nearing the 30% mark. At the present time, the Mila, or Merritt Island, antenna alignment is going on. This is a period when the Merritt Island Communication and Tracking System antenna, which transmits and receives communications, telemetry, and ranging information, is verified to be aligned properly to keep track of what is happening on the pad and during the first stages of the flight. Just a short time ago, we succeeded in lighting the burn pond at the pad. This is a pond which is used for burning any residual vapors of hydrogen as it boils off of the liquid hydrogen tank. It's a way to get rid of the very explosive vapor in a safe, clean way. Liquid hydrogen or gaseous hydrogen converts to water as it burns. So from time to time out near the pad or on television, you'll be seeing some flames out there. That is simply the gaseous hydrogen that boils off of the liquid hydrogen tank as it's being filled. Present time, countdown going very smoothly. The countdown clock at T-minus 3 hours, 39 minutes, 20 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 3 hours, 29 minutes, 25 seconds and counting. Launch Director George Page has given a go for crew wake-up. This is one of the major milestones in the countdown because over the years, flight doctors have determined that they do not want the astronauts to exceed more than 6 hours in the cockpit before launch or 20 hours between the time they are awakened and their first sleep period in space. If there were any known problems to delay the launch at this time, the crew would have been allowed to sleep until those problems were resolved. As it is, the crew got quite a much longer sleep period than they had anticipated when they went to bed last night. They had supper approximately 3:30 yesterday afternoon, and at that time there was still a great deal of work going on in the fixing of the multiplexer-demultiplexer problem. At the time they went to sleep, they were probably expecting to be awakened about 2.5 hours before this particular point because the launch was still scheduled for 7:30. As it is, they got an extra 2.5 hours of sleep. They are being awakened up now, stretching, and getting ready to go into breakfast and have a weather briefing. The countdown going very smoothly as we pass this milestone. The countdown clock at T-minus 3 hours, 28 minutes and counting. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 3 hours, 17 minutes and counting. The orbiter test conductor has verified that the orbiter fuel cell activation is complete and is beginning to share the electrical load coming from the ground support systems. The fuel cells are presently operating on hydrogen and oxygen supplied from tanks located on the fixed service structure. That will continue either as a complete fueling for these fuel cells or a partial load up until just prior to launch. We're presently past the 85% mark in the loading of the liquid hydrogen tank and are presently in the topping mode up to 98%. We have approximately 30 minutes remaining prior to getting up to the 85% mark in our liquid oxygen tank. The liquid oxygen, of course, is quite a lot more than the liquid hydrogen quantity. We load approximately 1,300,000 pounds of liquid oxygen and only a little over 200,000 pounds of liquid hydrogen. Present time, our countdown going smoothly. The countdown clock at T-minus 3 hours, 15 minutes, 38 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control, T-minus 3 hours, 9 minutes, 55 seconds and counting. Alignment of the primary antenna at the Mila tracking site on Merritt Island is now complete, and the tracking station is switching to ensure a valid two-way lock between the vehicle and the station. The countdown has been going very smoothly ever since it was picked up at the T-minus 8 hour point at 12:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning. The smoothness of the countdown is a tribute to the hard work of technicians and engineers here at the Kennedy Space Center and at other NASA centers and contractors as they work through Wednesday and into the early morning hours of Thursday in fixing not one but two faulty multiplexer-demultiplexers. Multiplexer-demultiplexer is just a fancy way of describing a unit which is responsible for changing the signals from various sensors, pressures, temperatures, etc., into the digital format which can be accepted by the computers on board the vehicle here in the Launch Control Center and at the consoles in the firing room. The problem was discovered early Wednesday morning, and the MDM switched out for one which was an off-the-shelf spare which had been at the Kennedy Space Center since March of this year. The second MDM proved to be faulty as well. But because the fault lay in exactly the same portion of the MDM, the secondary or backup portion of it, there was some thought that possibly it was not the multiplexer that was at fault, but another part of the system. Troubleshooting eventually narrowed it down to the fact that we had two random failures in the same portion of an MDM. A third one was flown in from the West Coast, one that had been slated for 099, the Orbiter Challenger, now under construction by Rockwell and ready for delivery approximately June of next year. It arrived here at the Kennedy Space Center at about 9 o'clock. By 9:30, it was up in the White Room on the pad. By 10:30, it was installed in the orbiter. Within an hour and a half, the engineers had checked it out and determined that we did have a good MDM and that we could proceed with picking up the countdown. Even while the backup support astronaut crew were going through their 2.5-hour switch list to make sure that every switch inside the orbiter cockpit was in the right position, the closeout of the panel that the MDM was behind in the crew compartment went on. The lockers were replaced in front of it, and everything has been going smoothly since then. At the present time, the liquid hydrogen tank is being topped up to the 98% point. The liquid oxygen tank is in fast fill and should be up to the 85% mark about 20 minutes from now. Everything going smoothly. We're looking for a liftoff at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Thursday morning. The crew has been awakened. This is a milestone which signifies that the launch team feels there are no constraints to the mission at the present time. The countdown clock continuing at T-minus 3 hours, 5 minutes, 16 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control, T-minus 2 hours, 55 minutes and counting. The closeout crew has been assembled at the roadblock and is ready to go out to the pad. The closeout crew includes a backup pilot, a suit technician, NASA quality control, and 2 Rockwell mechanical technicians. The liquid hydrogen has reached the 95% level in the external tank, and we're in stabilization and topping. The liquid oxygen tank has reached the 70% mark, and we're about 15 minutes away from it reaching the stage where we begin topping of that. We're coming up on the time when the ground launch sequencer program will be started. It's not actually placed online until we come out of the countdown at the T-minus 2 hour and 5 minute point, but we do start it prior to that to give it a warm-up time and to check it. Everything going very smoothly in the countdown. The crew has been awakened and should be in having breakfast just in a very short time from now. The countdown clock at T-minus 2 hours, 53 minutes, 40 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 2 hours, 45 minutes, 50 seconds and counting. We're coming up on the period when we will begin the pre-flight calibration of the inertial measurement units. In the meantime, the flight crew has completed their examinations, a short medical examination that's done prior to their going into the breakfast room, and they should be going into the breakfast room any minute. There's quite a few people who will be having breakfast with the crew this morning. It includes people like John Young, who was the commander on the first space shuttle mission. Also have some of the new astronauts, the support astronauts who have been supporting the activities here at the Kennedy Space Center. The support astronaut crew is very important because they take care of the things which need to be done in the crew compartment of the orbiter. They also keep track of the various systems as they're checking out. In the breakfast room, there's a large happy birthday sign, and it appears to be a present That, of course, is for Dick Truly, who is celebrating his 44th birthday today with his first launch into space. Among the other people who will be having breakfast with the crew this morning is George Abbey, who is the Director of Flight Operations for the Johnson Space Center. The countdown for the launch of the second Space Shuttle mission at 10 a.m. this morning has been going very smoothly. The astronauts were able to get another 2.5 hours sleep, which they had not expected when they went to bed yesterday afternoon. The reason for the extra sleep was the time necessary for the installation of a new multiplexer, demultiplexer in the shuttle orbiter. That was flown in from California, arriving here about 9 o'clock last night, and placed into the orbiter, and everything has gone smoothly since then. The countdown clock at T-minus 2 hours, 43 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control, T-minus 2 hours, 42 minutes and counting. Astronauts Dick Truly and Joe Engle have entered the breakfast room now, and Dick Truly and both of them smiling very widely as they sit down at the breakfast table. Dick Truly waving to the people as he looks at the various decorations that are on the table in front of him in honor of his 44th birthday, which he is celebrating today. He is giving a little toast with his coffee cup and moving aside one of the party decorations. Actually, one of the biggest presents probably for his birthday will be the chance to take his first trip into space. Joe Engle looking very fit and ready for his trip, too. He has been waiting quite a while for his journey into space as well. Both of them were awakened just a short time ago, went through their medical checkouts this morning, and then into the breakfast room. Confetti and streamers being thrown as the well-wishers there who are having breakfast with the crew wish Dick Truly a happy birthday. They'll just have a fairly short time for breakfast, probably a little less than a half hour before they'll be moving into the suiting room to suit up for their trip out to the pad and then into the orbiter. Out on the pad, things going along very smoothly. The liquid hydrogen topping is complete in the tank, with just topping and stabilization going on. Nancy Gunner, who is the manager of the astronaut quarters and keeps track of the activities here at the Kennedy Space Center for the astronaut crews, lighting a birthday cake for Dick Truly. Dick Smith, the center director, wished Dick Truly a happy birthday just prior to his going to the sleep period yesterday afternoon, and he said that they were going to light a big candle for him today. Dick Truly said that he promised he would not blow it out. A very thorough job is being done in lighting the birthday cake candles. Quite a lot of candles, although it's hard to tell whether there's actually 44 candles on the cake or not. The ignition of the solid rocket motors on the shuttle are going to take a lot shorter time. Dick Truly has blown out the candles on the cake, except for one which he's having a hard time with. Commander Joe Engle is suggesting that possibly the only way to douse the candles on the cake may be by pouring water over it. However, Dick Truly doesn't think that's a very good idea and is going to just let them burn until they go out and then cut the cake. Party favors and party hats abound in the room as the sort of traditional breakfast, which is usually steak and eggs, turns into a little birthday party for pilot of the STS-2 mission, Dick Truly. While Dick Truly and Joe Engle are having their breakfast in the crew quarters, the ice inspection team is preparing to leave the roadblock and move out to the pad. The ice inspection team consists of 4 people who will stay together as they go to the zero level or the deck level of the mobile launch platform. They'll go up to the 195 foot level, and then also up to the very top of the fixed service structure to gain an advantage in looking at the various areas of the external tank. One of the concerns is that there be no ice form that is dense enough to impact the heat protection system on the orbiter during liftoff and possibly do some damage. The beanie cap, or the gaseous oxygen vent arm, is working very satisfactorily at the pad. Liquid oxygen is in the uppermost part of the external tank, and the gaseous oxygen boils away from the liquid oxygen because of the extreme cold of the liquid oxygen and the much warmer temperature of the atmosphere. The gaseous oxygen is carried away through 2 vent arms and then just released into the atmosphere. The hydrogen tank, which is in the lower portion of the external tank, also boils off during the period that it is filled, and on the pad, the gaseous hydrogen is carried away to what is called a burn pond, where it is burned safely with the byproduct being water. From time to time, a flare of hydrogen burning can be seen out in the vicinity of the pad. Everything going very smoothly in the countdown. The countdown clock at T-minus 2 hours, 33 minutes, 40 seconds, and counting. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 2 hours, 21 minutes, and counting. At the present time, we have just completed the filling of the liquid oxygen tank to the 98% complete stage, and have begun topping of that tank. During the past few minutes, the liquid hydrogen dewar, which is on the fixed service structure that's used for filling the tanks on the orbiter for the fuel cells, has been dumped to the burn pond, and this is a process which the residual hydrogen which left in that tank is vented to prepare it for the launch so that it is not in any danger at that time. The hydrogen is vented through the hydrogen burn pond where it is bubbled through the water and ignited. All of the events in the countdown looking towards the launch at 10 a.m. this morning have been going very, very smoothly up to the present time. The crew is still in the breakfast room, waiting the word that it's time for them to proceed to the suiting room where they'll be suited up for their trip out to the pad and into space. The countdown clock continuing at T-minus 2 hours, 19 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 2 hours, 7 minutes, and counting. Preparations to hold the countdown clock at the T-minus 2 hour and 5 minute point have been completed. The liquid oxygen topping to 100% is complete, and we are starting the replenish mode to replace the boil off up to seconds away from launch. At the present time, we have heard no indication that the flight crew has not gotten a go-ahead to proceed with the suiting. At the present time, they are still in the breakfast room, but should be moving down to the suiting room in just a short time from now. The Mila tracking site at Merritt Island is in the process of doing a check to determine whether they have a problem with locking on to one of the signals from the orbiter or not. At the present time, they believe that it is caused by the fact that the system on board the orbiter is on low power, and they've asked that it be turned on high power to assure that they do have the proper lock. However, this is not considered a major problem at the present time. We're coming up on the T-minus 2 hour 5-minute hold point. During this hold, the frost evaluation team will inspect the external tank for any frost buildup, which might, any ice could possibly damage the orbital's thermal protection system during a launch if it were to come off. We have had a go for the flight crew to go into the suiting room and suit up for their trip out to the pad and into orbit for 5 days. Coming up on the hold point, T-minus 2 hours, 5 minutes, and holding. This is a 1 hour build-in hold. This is the last of the long holds in the countdown as we prepare for a liftoff at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning. Everything has gone very, very smoothly in the countdown. Just a few minor concerns, and those have been taken care of very expeditiously as we have gone along. At the present time, our only major concern is the weather. Not the weather here at the Kennedy Space Center, but at the sites such as the Edwards Air Force Base site, which would be used in the case of a contingency which required a once-around abort mode. We have capability of several types of abort modes if it is necessary, including a return to the launch site here at the Kennedy Space Center. The weather for that, for the liftoff and for the return, is satisfactory at the present time. Weather is being monitored around the world to determine that we have the proper conditions for the mission this morning. At the present time, we're at T-minus 2 hours, 5 minutes, and holding. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 2 hours, 5 minutes, and holding. Our crew for this morning, Joe Engle and Dick Truly, are walking down to the suiting room. George Abbey, the Director of Flight Operations at Johnson Space Center, preceding them, and then John Young, the commander of the first shuttle mission, going into the suiting room with them. They'll be in the suiting room for approximately a half hour or so. The first step will be to affix the biomedical sensors to their bodies, and then they will don their spacesuits, check out the helmet connections, the glove connections, and make sure they're ready for their trip to the pad. Things going smoothly here in the countdown as we look towards a liftoff on time at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The count in a 1 hour hold at T-minus 2 hours, 5 minutes. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 2 hours, 5 minutes, and holding. At the present time, the ice inspection team is on the 0 level, or the deck level, of the mobile launch platform, beginning their inspection of the external tank and the associated structures to ensure that there is no ice buildup on that tank. One of the things they'll be doing is looking up around the gimbal points of the main engines on the orbiter to ensure that there's no ice buildup there, and they'll also be looking over the skin of the external tank and at the various places where it attaches to the solid rocket boosters and to the orbiter. The ice inspection team is dressed in non-static producing flame retardant coveralls and carry gas masks for emergency use. Up in the white room at the crew access arm that goes to the orbiter, the closeout team is preparing for the crew to arrive there at the pad and to take them into the orbiter and place them in their seats. At the present time, the covering which has been on the shuttle access door prevents people, any scratching or any dirt from getting into that mechanism. The ice inspection team will be moving up to the same area as the access arm to look further at the external tank, and then up to the 215-foot level to look at the top of the tank and the area of the beanie cap or the gaseous oxygen vent arm. Weather continues to be watched here by the launch team at the Edwards Air Force Base. We had a report earlier that the scattered clouds which they had out there could possibly move to a broken condition prior to launch. It's possible that there is going to be a plane launched from the Dryden Flight Research Center by Deke Slayton, who is the orbital test flight manager for the Johnson Space Center, to take a look around and get a better reading on the weather there. This should not be a serious constraint. If there is a problem at Edwards, the once around aboard capability exists for going into Northrop Strip at White Sands. At the present time, everything moving along smoothly in our countdown, which is in a 1-hour build-in hold at the T-minus 2-hour and 5-minute point. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control. We're at T-minus 2 hours, 5 minutes and holding. During this hold is the time when the crew, Joe Engle and Dick Truly, get into their suits, which they will use during the ascent portion of their flight into orbit. They are in the suiting room, and the biomedical sensors have been attached to their body. The suit technicians are in the process of zipping them into their suits and checking out the various parts of the spacesuit to ensure that they are properly fitted to them and that the sensor wires go to the proper connections, and that the various the gloves and the helmet lock into place. During the period when they're getting suited, they do sit in reclining chairs, which provide a lot more comfort than they will find when they get into the orbiter seats. Both Joe Engle and Dick Truly in a very good mood as they prepare for the flight. They are both very, very ready for the launch. And when they arrived at our Patrick Air Force Base yesterday, they reported that this was the last time that they would be coming in like that prior to the launch. Joe Engle in the process of trying on his helmet and attaching it to the neck ring. Dick Truly placing his helmet over his head with the glasses in place inside of the helmet. Dick Truly wears glasses just as John Young did. These are attached to the helmet and are in place inside of it. The helmets are locked into neck rings which are attached to the suit to provide the proper airtight environment that's essential for the life support system in space. The gloves then placed on their hands, locked into places on the wrist rings to ensure that a perfect seal is made, and also that they have the mobility to move their hands as is necessary for controlling the spacecraft. Unlike John Young and Bob Crippen on the first flight, Joe Engle and Dick Truly will be using wireless mics during their period in the orbiter Columbia in orbit. This should alleviate the problem which the astronauts had on the first flight. Dick Truly's gloves being put in place and locked into the wrist rings on the suit. A go for the astronauts to move out to the pad should come approximately 10 or 15 minutes from now after they have completed their preparations. They will then take the elevator down from the crew quarters in the operations and checkout building in the industrial area of the Kennedy Space Center, board the Astrovan for an approximately 7 or 8 mile trip from there out to the launch pad. Out on the pad, the closeout crew is in the White Room making preparations for the crew to arrive out there. The crew will put on their space helmets while they are in the White Room. Once again, they will not transfer out to the pads wearing them. Once they're in orbit, they'll be able to take off the helmets once again and stow them, as well as their suits. They're only needed as a protective measure during the ascent and then the re-entry back into the atmosphere. The checks of Joe Engle's helmet have been complete, and now Dick Truly is checking to make sure that he does have a proper seal and that the air supply is working properly, as well as the various regulators in the helmet. In the meantime, preparations for the launch of STS-2 are proceeding on schedule. Everything looking good for a launch at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 2 hours, 5 minutes, and holding. At the present time, we've just had word that things on the pad are satisfactory for the crew to begin their journey out there. Actually, a go for the crew to come out will come just in minutes from now, and they'll start on their way out to the pad where they'll be received by the closeout crew. The only problem which we are tracking at the present time has to do with a mandatory C-band radar at our Bermuda tracking station. At the present time, the radar is down. We will nevertheless come out of our count at the T-minus 2 hour, 5 minute point and rely on them to get their radar working in time to support the launch this morning. All other aspects of the vehicle appear to be go at this time, and we do have a go for the crew to begin their trip out to the pad. That should begin just a few minutes from now. They've been in the suiting room for a while, putting on their first the biomedical sensors, then the spacesuits, and then checking out the helmets, the gloves, etc. And they appear to be just about ready to come out to the pad as well. Everything going smoothly with the exception of our watching the radar at Bermuda at the present time. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control. T-minus 2 hours, 5 minutes hold, and the crew is just leaving the suiting room and moving to the elevators to go down to the ground floor and back out to the pad once again. They're being accompanied by George Abbey and also by John Young, who was the commander of the first mission. Joe Engle and Dick Truly now in the elevator on their way down to the ground floor in the crew quarters at the O&C building. Down on the ground level, there is the usual assembly of people who are waiting for a glimpse of the astronauts as they move to the Astrovan for the trip out there. There's both a group of the nation's news media who will be taking pictures, and also we expect to hear a hearty rendition of Happy Birthday to astronaut Dick Truly, celebrating his 44th birthday today. crew being preceded by Gene String and directing the singing. Gene String with our security office at the Kennedy Space Center. Joe Engle and Dick Truly waving to the crowd as they get into the Astro van. A final wave from Dick Truly. John Young joins them, George Abbey, and the other members who are accompanying them out to the pad. The van being closed up, approximately an 8-mile journey from the industrial area of the Kennedy Space Center to the pad. There's approximately 22 minutes remaining in the built-in hold, which we're in at the present time, prior to emerging at the 2-hour and 5-minute point. The only constraint which we have to the launch that we know of at the present time is the C-band radar at our tracking station at Bermuda. We will nevertheless come out of the hold and as they work on the problem and try to get that radar active and able to support the mission. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control, T-minus 2 hours, 5 minutes, and holding. Approximately 12 minutes remaining in this 1-hour built-in hold as the flight crew, Joe Engle and Dick Truly, are on their way to the pad. The Astro van has just passed the Launch Control Center where the launch is being controlled with. Meanwhile, out on the pad, the closeout crew is up in the white room at the 195-foot level of the fixed service structure, and they are just putting up a sign which says "Happy Birthday, Dick," in honor of Dick Truly's 44th birthday. This is just about the third in a series of birthday wishes to Dick Truly. The first being in the breakfast room where they had a cake and also had a present for him and had several tributes to him read by members of the astronaut support crew. Then when the astronaut crew emerged from the crew quarters to get into the Astro van for the trip out to the pad, there was "Happy Birthday" sung by the assembled media, cameramen, and writers who were there to see them off and wish him well on his trip into space. At the present time, the Astro van has passed the Launch Control Center and is now coming up to a checkpoint where it will proceed by itself the remainder of the couple of miles out to Launch Complex 39A and the Columbia and Space Shuttle that are awaiting. Everything moving along smoothly. The only constraint to launch that we know about at the present time is the C-band radar at our Bermuda tracking station, which is presently inoperative. Nevertheless, we will come out of the hold in about 10 minutes while they troubleshoot that problem in Bermuda. The liquid oxygen in the external tank is at the flight mass, and the liquid hydrogen is in the replenish mode. The ice inspection team has just about finished up their job. They were up at the 215-foot level of the fixed service structure at last report. They will be coming down and then moving back to the Launch Control Center for a report as to what they saw. At the present time, preparations proceeding for a launch on time at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 2 hours, 5 minutes, and holding. Just about 7 minutes remaining in this 1 hour built-in hold. At the present time, the ice inspection team has completed their work at inspecting the external tank and the associated hardware of the space shuttle at the pad. And the flight crew is in the process of arriving at the lower level of the tower and preparing to come up to the 195-foot level where they will enter the orbiter. Everything is in preparation for their arrival. A very colorful sign has been placed up over the hatchway to welcome Dick Truly and wish him a happy 44th birthday. The Astrovan is coming up the ramp to the pad surface at the present time, making the turn up on the hard stand where it will make a little loop around the pad and come to a stop just by the elevator, which will take them up the fixed service structure. We have just had word that the Bermuda C-band radar, which was a constraint to launch, is now in a green condition. It's believed that a loose wire was found in the power supply, and the radar is operating and is ready to support that launch. The Astrovan making a circle, approaching the elevator area of the fixed service structure, and the crew will exit the van and go up to the 195-foot level. We have just heard that the weather is go for launch at the present time, and we are preparing to pick up the count approximately 5 minutes from now. At the present time, we're at T-minus 2 hours, 5 minutes, and holding. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is Shuttle Launch Control, T-minus 2 hours, 5 minutes, and holding, just about a minute and a half away from resuming the count at that point. The flight crew has reached the clean room and has been given permission to enter the orbiter. Commander Joe Engle is putting on his helmet at the present time. Dick Truly standing by to put on his as well. Dick Truly shook everybody's hand as they reached the white room and smiled at the sign which says, "Happy Birthday, Dick." This is Dick Truly's 44th birthday. He was born in Fayette, Mississippi, and graduated from the Georgia Institute of Technology. Joe Engle was born in Abilene, Kansas, and his engineering degree was from the University of Kansas. Even though this is both of the crew members' first flight into space, Joe Engle earned his astronaut wings back in the 60s when he was the pilot of the X-15 experimental aircraft. 25 seconds away from coming out of our built-in hold. We have had a go from each element of the launch team, and have no known constraints at the present time towards a launch at 10 a.m. this morning. About 10 seconds away. We're at T-minus 2 hours, 5 minutes, and counting. This has been a very smooth countdown with just a few minor problems which have come up since it was resumed at the T-minus 8 hour point at 12:40 a.m. this morning. The liftoff time of 10 a.m. Was adjusted from the planned 7:30 liftoff time because of a problem which cropped up with a multiplexer-demultiplexer yesterday. That was changed out with a spare which had been on hand here at the Kennedy Space Center since March. However, the spare proved also to be faulty, and a new MDM was flown in from the California that had been planned for use on orbiter 099, the Challenger. That was put into place, checked out, and everything was proclaimed ready to go about 12 midnight. Joe Engle now has entered the orbiter, where he'll be placed in his suit. Dick Truly preparing to do that. The happy birthday sign being taken down and handed to Dick Truly. On the back of it is the signatures of the many people who assist him out there at the pad. At the present time, everything going very smoothly. The countdown clock proceeding at T-minus 2 hours, 3 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 2 hours, 17 seconds and counting. The main propulsion system helium tanks are being brought up to their flight pressure of 4,400 pounds per square inch at the present time. This is a very busy period in the count in which we initialize the ground launch sequencer. The solid rocket booster rate gyros are turned on at this time. These rate gyros are used by the orbiter navigation system to determine the rate of motion of the solid rocket boosters during their 2 minutes of flight. The flight crew has completed their entry of the orbiter, and they are in the process of getting into their couches or their seats, where they'll be hooked up to the various sensors to determine their status during the liftoff period. Placing the astronauts in their couches and checking out all of the various connections, including the life support systems, the oxygen which flow into their suits during the ascent portion, takes approximately a half hour. At the same time, the ejection seats have to be armed and the handles prepared for them to use should they become necessary during the flight. The countdown proceeding very smoothly as we pass the T-minus 1 hour, 58 minute, 25 second point. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 1 hour, 50 minutes and counting. At the present time, the first motion simulated signal has been sent to the mission control in Houston, the Eastern Test Range, and the firing room here at the Kennedy Space Center. This is the signal that's used to indicate the liftoff at the time that occurs, and that has been sent satisfactorily. Meanwhile, the astronauts have entered the orbiter and begun the series of preparations that are necessary to have them in the proper place and with the proper connections during liftoff. Among the things which have to be done with the astronauts is the biomedical fittings have to be connected, the suits have to be hooked up to the air conditioning system that supply them with their oxygen. They have to verify the suit's controllers knobs are working properly. The lap belt is fixed in place. The helmet tie-down strap is adjusted as necessary. Shoulder harness put in place. Then the suit vent hose fitting is locked. The glove disconnects locked. The neck ring locked. And then there's a suit pressure integrity check, which is conducted to assure that there is absolutely no leaks from either inside the suit to the outside or vice versa. The suit, of course, is the life support system which they have during the ascent and the descent portions of the flight. There are a number of other adjustments which have to be made, connections such as the seat height has to be adjusted as necessary, the rudder pedals are adjusted, and the handhold mirror adjustment, the cue cards which they use to tell them what they should be doing on a minute-by-minute basis put into place. The T-handle pin, which is used for activating the ejection seat, is necessary, is also placed in the proper place so that it can be used should that become necessary during the flight. During these very early test flights, there are 4 development flights in the series. There will be ejection seats in the orbiter which can be used by the crew if necessary during a portion of the ascent trajectory and also during the descent portion of the flight. Everything going smoothly in our countdown as we move towards a launch at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning. The countdown clock at T-minus 1 hour, 47 minutes, 10 seconds, and counting. This is Shuttle Launch Control.
OTC, CLSC. Go ahead. 366 is done.
Okay, copy. We got to go on 367 when we're
That's
ready.
affirmative.
Okay.
This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 1 hour, 39 minutes, and counting. We have just had a report from the ice inspection team, which has returned to the Launch Control Center, and they report that they did not see any ice which seemed to pose a problem for our launch this morning. They also said that they appreciated the amount of light that they had this time. This is the first time that they've been able to inspect the tank during the daylight, and previously it was during nighttime, and they said they got a much better look at it. There was only one odd object which was found as they did their inspection, and that was a Titusville VFW hat which had fallen into one of the water troughs. However, since it was a soft hat, it's not expected to be any problem for this morning's launch. Everything moving along smoothly towards liftoff at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The countdown clock at T-minus 1 hour, 38 minutes, and counting. This is Shuttle Launch Control.
363 not performed. Copy.
OTCAS, the parameter thumb wheels are set at 120.
120, copy. F, go ahead and perform post-ingress switch configuration.
Schedule working on panel 014.
Copy. Copy.
Driver locks removed, and I'm ready to configure the drivers. 2B on mark. 2A on mark. RGBS 2B on mark. Right engine valve on mark. Axle 3 coming on mark.
Okay, copy. COOS, COFS, COFC, OTC.
COOS.
Pickup 374.
Copy. We'll verify we have our RGDA. Foam and roam.
Copy that, COFC.
COFC verifies.
Okay, go ahead and perform Birdie or driver output read. F, OTC.
Go ahead, OTC.
Copy, we're ready for you to close out the crew module for flight.
Roger, we'll put that into work.
OTC, SCP. Go ahead. Fuel cell purge is complete. Copy.
OTC, COFC, the Vernier driver output reads complete.
I copy.
OTC,
OTCS, the floor panels are coming up. Copy. Top jet 1-2. OTC CLSS, how do you rate?
This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 1 hour, 30 minutes and counting. At the present time, the closeout crew is in the process of removing the items from the crew module, which are essential that they be removed prior to the flight. This includes such things as the personal equipment transfer bag, the helmet visor protectors, the inspection mirrors, pen lights, seat back angle servicing unit, TV screen covers, the mid-deck floor covers, and various other pieces of equipment. This is all checked out very carefully on a checklist by the closeout crew as they're removed, so there is nothing left in the crew compartment that is unnecessary to the flight. The closeout crew was just instructed in a very kidding manner that they really should put down astronaut Onizuka on their closeout list to make sure that he does leave the orbiter as well, because they said he probably would like to go wrong for the flight. Astronaut Onizuka has been one of the main support astronauts here in the preparations for the second space shuttle flight. The astronauts are just about to begin their comm check, in which they make sure that they are in communication with all of the proper channels, and then they do configure some of the switches on board for liftoff. Everything going smoothly in our countdown. The countdown clock at T-minus 1 hour, 28 minutes, 25 seconds, and counting. This is Shuttle Launch Control.
CDR, OTC, UHF, how do you read? CDR, read you loud and clear, UHF. Copy, read you loud and clear. PLT, OTC, UHF, how do you read? This PLT, loud and clear, how many? Read you loud and clear. Flight, OTC. Air to ground 1.
Go ahead.
Okay, you'd like to go ahead and conduct your air to ground voice checks?
Wilco. Morning, Columbia. This is Houston. Ready for our voice checks. Configure for air ground 1.
Okay, Dan, we'll configure up. Okay, Houston, CDR on air ground 1. How do you read?
CDR, this is Houston. Read you loud and clear.
And Houston, PLT on air to ground 1. How do you read?
PLT, this is Houston. Read you loud and clear on air ground 1. Let's configure for air to ground 2 voice check.
Okay. Houston, CDR on air ground 2. How do you read?
CDR, this is Houston. Read you loud and clear.
Okay, read you loud and clear too. This is Houston, PLT. How do you read me air to ground 2?
PLT, read you loud and clear on air to ground 2. Let's configure for UHF.
Roger that.
OTC, CGLS 212.
Houston, CDR on UHF.
CGLS functional initialization
CDR, this
complete.
is Houston. Reading you loud and clear.
Clear, sir. And Houston, PLT on UHF. How do you read me?
Read you also loud and clear on UHF. Let's configure for the SIMO voice check.
Do that. Houston, CDR, coming up, Simon. How do you read?
Columbia, Houston, read you loud and clear.
Dan, you're loud and clear too. And Houston, PLT. How do you read me, Simon?
PLT, this is Houston. Reading you loud and clear. That finishes it for this voice check. We'll see you at T-minus 25.
You bet, Dan. See you there. OTCS? Go ahead, Ash. Yes, sir. We configured the comm, and as soon as you clear me, I'll be coming off comm unless some system has something to be done. Let's ask OTC. You got to go to reconfigure comm and come on out. Roger, go ahead and work. Park. OTC, MPS. Go ahead, MPS. I talked to C1TC. What channel are you on? I could use 166. Okay, go to 166. We'll get him over there. Thank you. CDR, OTC, air to ground 1. Roger, OTC, go ahead. Okay, stand by to perform the aboard advisory checks. Okay, sir, stand by. Okay, it's on, Brian.
Flight transmitting aboard A off, market,
Roger, Dim.
and aboard B off, market.
Lights off.
Go ahead. NTD copies 100%. CDR NTD and port advisory test complete.
Roger that.
OTC DPS. Go ahead.
You want us to pick up 14-0433 by the clock?
Yes, you can pick that up by the clock.
Okay, we verified that pre-flight cal is complete, and we have not yet started the pre-flight line.
We have not verified that yet. We're waiting for that go.
Copy. OTC, CMQC.
Go ahead.
Wilson, somebody 152.
Okay. CGNC, OTC.
CGNC on 212.
Okay, is your pre-flight line complete yet?
IMU pre-flight calibration is complete, ready to proceed with IMU attitude determination at 1 hour and 10 minutes.
Okay, so you are complete. We can go ahead and pick up GMT Delta Adjust, right?
That's firm.
Okay, CDPS, OTC.
Go ahead.
You can go ahead with the Delta Adjust.
Copy. We'll do it on 152.
Right.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 1 hour, 18 minutes and counting. The hatch on the orbiter Columbia is presently being closed. This is a process which will take a few minutes. After the hatch has been locked securely in place, it is essential that we check the seals around the door to ensure that there is no leakage through them. After this is done, then there are some screw-in insulation plugs which will be put in place, which complete the insulation that's on that door as part of the thermal protection system. We have just been listening to weather forecasts for the local area and for the various contingency landing sites, and it appears at the present time that we have no major problems, although we are continuing to closely watch the weather on the west coast. An abort advisory check is underway at the present time. This is one of the backup systems which indicates that a major problem has been detected and the crew may have to get out quickly. This particular check involves a light which is used to signal the crew if normal voice communications have been lost. On the pad, they can either eject or get out of the orbiter, run to the slide wire basket, and ride down the wire to the bunker or an M113 armored personnel escape vehicle. The wiring light will also be checked later in the count, and this can be used both while the orbiter is on the ground or in flight. The countdown proceeding at the T-minus 1 hour, 16 minute, 15 second point. This is shuttle launch control.
Ops OTC, Aircraft 1. Ops OTC, 212.
This is Ops. Go ahead.
You verify your red cruise there?
Affirmative.
Okay.
OTC, DPS.
Go ahead, DPS.
GMT adjustments complete.
Copy.
OTC, CGNC, 212.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll pick up step 14, 435, and 438 by the clock.
Okay, understand. CDR OTC.
Go ahead, OTC, CR.
We're ready to perform the cabin leak check at this time. On panel L2A1.
Let's go.
Cabin vent, verify vent isolation talkback closed and vent talkback closed.
Verify both closed.
DCL.
We can verify the talkbacks on DHE-30.
Copy that. Okay, CDR on panel 01, we'd like you to verify the cabin pressure increase to approximately 16.7.
Okay, we're watching.
OTC, ECL.
Go ahead, ECL.
Like a CMQC on 143, please.
Okay, CMQC, you copy that?
Copy. OTC, ECL, 212.
Go ahead, ECL.
Can I have a cabin pressure reading from CDR on panel 01?
Go ahead, CDR.
You bet you haven't seen any change yet. We're still looking at about 14.8 on the gauge.
Okay, we're looking for the baseline. Thank you.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 1 hour, 10 minutes and counting. We are exactly 1.5 hours away from launch at the present time. Everything going smoothly in the countdown for a liftoff at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. There are still two 10-minute build-in holds in the countdown, a 10-minute build-in hold which comes at the T-minus 20-minute point, and a 10-minute hold which comes at the T-minus 9-minute point. The closeout crew is presently completing their work on the hatch on the orbiter. They have done a continuity check. They have checked the seals, and they're going to insert the small thermal protection system plugs which go into the door. Commander Joe Engle inside has been asked to participate in the cabin leak checks. We pressurize the cabin to ensure that there is no leak of the pressure in it during this period on the pad to ensure that it is ready for its flight into space.
And CDR, the master alarm for the DPDT.
We have had verification that the Eastern Test Range range safety hold fire checks have been completed. This test verifies the ability of the range safety officer to stop the countdown during the last second of the count. We've also had verification that the inertial measurement unit's pre-flight calibration is complete, and they are prepared to pick up the alignment of the inertial measurement unit. The inertial measurement units provide a reference point for navigation purposes during the flight, and will be picking up their alignment at approximately 1 hour and 1 minute in the countdown. The countdown continuing at T-minus 1 hour, 8 minutes, and counting. This is Shuttle Launch Control.
PL2 CWS. OTC, seeking K2 on 10.
Go ahead.
Step 14, 435 is complete. We'll pick up 438 by clock.
Copy. DPS, OTC.
This is DPS, go.
You want to go ahead with 443, DLT?
Copy, we'll pick it up. PLT, CDPS.
Go ahead.
Right CRT, select the 3.
3.
Right keyboard, resume.
Okay, resume off 9 GBC memory.
Copy. OTC. The responsible console is controlled to use DU number 3 to assign to C11.
Okay, copy that. PLT, CDR, OTC.
Roger, go ahead.
Yeah, how do your windows look today?
They're looking a lot better today. The wind's coming out of the right direction today.
Copy that.
They're clean as a whistle. We thank you.
All right, sir. Okay, PLT, during the RTAAA sensor self-test, we'd like you to monitor CRT3 to verify no up or down errors occur.
Okay, we'll do it.
Okay, COSC, OTC.
Go ahead.
Go ahead and perform the RTA and AA sensor self-test.
It didn't work. OTC, ECL.
Go ahead, ECL.
Okay, coming up on a master alarm in Claxton.
Okay, copy. CDR, you can reset the master alarm when it occurs.
Yeah, okay. And this is PLT, no down arrows on the low test.
USC copies.
And this is PLT, no down arrows on the high test. Data looks good.
USC copies. DC, this is ECL.
Go ahead, ECL.
Okay, looks like they got the cap on without tripping the Claxton.
Okay, copy CDR.
All right. And this CDR, we did get a Claxton on board momentarily and punched it off.
Okay, copy that, ECL.
All right, copy.
This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 1 hour, 1 minute, and counting. We're just getting underway with the alignment of the inertial measurement unit for flight. The inertial measurement unit is the heart of the shuttle guidance system. At the same time, the landing and recovery director is giving a go for takeoff of the weather aircraft. The shuttle training aircraft is being used for this purpose. by astronaut John Young. John Young, who was the commander on the first flight, will be taking a look at the weather today to ensure that should there be a return to the launch site by the orbiter Columbia during its flight, that the visibility from either end of the landing strip would be satisfactory. A determination is not made as to which end of the landing strip the shuttle would land on a return until a little later in the count. Up in the White Room on the fixed service structure, the closeout crew is completing their work up there. The cabin leak checks are being conducted, as well as various other tasks by Commander Joe Engle and pilot Dick Truly. The countdown going very smoothly as we come up on the T-minus 59-minute, 30-second point and counting. This is shuttle launch control.
OTC, DPS.
Go ahead, DPS.
With your concurrence, I'll pick up 463 at this time.
463, go ahead.
OTC, DPS.
Go ahead, DPS.
Check 463, 464.
Copy.
PLT, COC, verify no up or down arrows on sensor self-test.
That's affirmative. No up or down arrows. Looks good.
OTC, ECL.
Go ahead, ECL.
Okay, we can give you a step here, notify the pad to continue side hatch closeout for orbiter operation setup 20, and can notify STD that the SS breathing air system is no longer required.
Okay, copy that.
That equates to your steps, that equates to step 552 in sequence 14.
Okay.
Perfect. OTC, COSC.
Go ahead.
RGAA sensor self-test for sequence 26 is complete. Step 461, and I've also done step 462.
Okay, copy.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 55 minutes and counting. The booster test conductor is just asked to calibrate the solid rocket motor pressure transducers. These are instruments which provide the information necessary to separate the solid motors from the external tank at the proper moment in flight. If they were not working properly, the solid motors could separate prematurely. The separation signal comes after the pressure in the chambers of the solid motors falls to below 50% of its normal pressure. Just a few minutes from now, the crew will start the pre-activation of the hydraulic auxiliary power unit water boilers. The auxiliary power units themselves will not be turned on until the T-minus 5-minute point. The cabin leak check has been complete, and the final preparations are being made to the hatch on the orbiter. Then the closeout crew will be leaving the fixed service structure and moving back to the fallback point. Everything going smoothly in our countdown as the clock goes past the T-minus 53-minute, 40-second point. This is shuttle launch control.
PLT, OTC, air to ground 1.
Go ahead, OTC.
Okay, let's go ahead and perform the water boiler pre-activation at this time.
Okay, that's in work. OTC, PLT, the water boiler pre-activation is complete.
Copy that. HYD, verify 468.
HYD verifies 468.
EPD. Go ahead, OTC. Okay, 469. That's in work. RCRE, OTC. RCRE, OTC, 212.
That's RCRE, go.
Okay, we'd like you to start the mag tape and strip charts for the SRSS terminal count test.
That's verified, there go. OTC, ECL, 212.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 50 minutes and counting. Pilot Dick Truly has activated the auxiliary power unit water boilers.
553 complete. When you
And the range safety officer has reported that the Eastern Test Range command tests are underway.
We can do it now.
The countdown going smoothly as we move towards a liftoff at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning. There are 2 build-in holds remaining in our countdown. The first will be a 10-minute build-in hold, which comes at the T-minus 20-minute point, and then another 10-minute build-in hold, which comes at the T-minus 9-minute point. The countdown proceeding. The closeout crew is just about ready to leave the white room at the 195-foot level of the fixed service structure. They're in the process of completing the installation of the plugs in the door and have been moving the material which needs to be taken away from that area back to the elevators. Everything going smoothly as the countdown clock comes up on T-minus 48 minutes, 40 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control.
Roger that.
Notify has gas. He's going to be getting some air.
HDD,
This is HCD. Go ahead.
you're going to be getting some air in the payload bay.
Copy.
KNOTC, the CDR, you ready to open the cabin vent now?
Yes, sir, you got to go for it.
Okay, cabin vent is coming open. Both of them, vent ISO and vent open now.
Copy. CCSE, OTC. CCSE, go to 232 for the S-band high power, please. CCSE, go to 232.
KNOTC, CDR, the cabin vent ISO and vent are open, talkback's open, and we got the clacks.
Copy.
ECL verifies 557.
Okay. Okay, ECL, CDR, you can stand by to give pro words closed cabin vents if you get a PPO2 below baseline.
ECL copies.
CDR copies.
GLS, OTC.
Go ahead.
You can perform GLS mainline activation by the clock.
Copy.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 45 minutes and counting. The closeout crew in the white room at the 195-foot level of the fixed service structure has reported that they have completed the installation of the thermal protection system plugs in the door and that they are prepared to leave the white room and return to the fallback area. They're in the process of stowing the various materials, of moving back the seal which goes between the white room and the orbiter, and then in preparation for the retraction of that access arm. It will be left in place until later in the count, should it be necessary for Joe Engle or Dick Truly to leave the orbiter in an emergency. At this point in the count, the S-band telemetry system has been switched to high power, and the Myla tracking site is adjusting their uplink command signals to the proper level. The ground launch sequencer mainline computer programs will be activated shortly. We have just heard a report that the Eastern Test Range Range Safety Officer has completed the test of all of the various paths that he has for finding out what is happening with the orbiter and for communicating with the shuttle should that be necessary. But the command check has been completed by the range safety officer. The countdown proceeding at T-minus 43 minutes, 25 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control.
OTC, you call LP. Yeah, we need helm 171. 171. Right.
This is shuttle launch control, T-minus 42 minutes, 55 seconds and counting. Astronaut John Young has just entered the shuttle training aircraft prior to takeoff to survey the weather here at the launch site at the Kennedy Space Center. John Young will be flying the aircraft, which is able to duplicate the descent of the orbiter in landing conditions from each end of the runway to ensure that should there be a return to launch site abort, that the astronauts Dick Truly and Joe Engle would be able to make a satisfactory landing here at the landing facility at the Kennedy Space Center. During our first attempt at a launch last week, it was John Young who gave the final go-ahead for weather in the Kennedy Space Center area. Today, it's not nearly as cloudy as it was then, and no problems are anticipated. Nevertheless, the aircraft will fly, and will make sure that it is perfectly safe from a weather standpoint for a return to the launch site if necessary. The countdown going smoothly. The countdown clock at T-minus 41 minutes, 38 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control.
For the OPC, OPE 12. Go ahead, OPE. Roger, understand from discussion in the back room. We will not require the patch. We remain in position. Copy that. No patch required. Roger.
OTC, CGLS 212.
Go ahead.
CLS pre-sequencing is started. Verify steps 522 and 523.
Copy.
OTC, ECL 212.
Go ahead, ECL.
Okay, we'd like to pick up with 140591, please.
Okay. CDR, OTC.
CDR, go ahead.
Okay, panel 01A1. What's cabin pressure, please?
Looking at about 15.0.
Okay, ECL copies. For 592, we can give you 14.64.
Copy, 14.64.
Okay, CCL, we're ready to close the vent valve.
Okay. CDR, OTC.
Go ahead.
Close cabin vent valve, please.
Okay, cabin vent, that valve is coming closed now. And you want the vent ISO closed also?
Yes, sir.
Okay, both are closed. Talkbacks are remaining closed.
Okay, copy ECL, verify 595.
Stand by. CL verifies.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 37 minutes and counting. Commander Joe Engle has just been asked to close the cabin vent valves for flight. They will remain in that position through the launch and, of course, until it returns to the Edwards Air Force Base in California about 5 days from now. They're proceeding with the payload pre-launch command transmission. The STS-2 mission is the first time that a full payload has been carried in the shuttle orbiter. One of the major objectives of the STS-2 flight is the evaluation of the Columbia's ability to serve as a steady platform for Earth viewing instruments.
FM activation complete.
There are approximately 6 various experiments on the OSTA-1 payload being flown. These include observations of the atmosphere, of the ocean, and of the ground. The countdown is proceeding very smoothly. We've had word from the landing sites of their ability to support the launch this morning. In the case of a return to launch site abort, the weather here at the Kennedy Space Center is being verified by John Young flying the shuttle training aircraft. Out on the west coast at Edwards Air Force Base, which would be used for an abort once around, the weather forecast calls for scattered clouds at 12,000 feet, scattered to broken clouds at the 25,000-foot level, and winds from the southwest at 5 knots. This would be acceptable. There is a front off the coast of California, and the only concern is that that could possibly move into the area of Edwards Air Force Base. That's not expected to happen, and we are go at the present time. The countdown continuing at T-minus 35 minutes and counting.
OTC, the CDR, the past BFS transfer is complete. The asterisk on item 25.
Okay, copy. TPS, you want to pick up 3940?
Loco. OTC DPS, check 539540.
Copy. CDR OTC.
CDR, go ahead.
Form the home G&2 press.
Okay, and mark. OTC, the home express is complete.
Copy. COOS, verify 57547.
Copy the COOS. We verify arm valve open. And loams and roams blinking yellow.
Okay, so you're verifying 547, 548, right? Verify.
QFC verified 548.
Okay. COFC,
Go ahead.
why don't you pick up on 550?
Copy.
QC 564 complete. Also the deviation 564 able.
This is shuttle launch control, T-minus 31 minutes,
Go ahead, OTC.
55 seconds,
565.
and counting. Astronaut John Young taxiing out to the shuttle landing facility in the shuttle training aircraft to take off for weather observation. Just about 5 minutes from now, the order will be given for the chase plane pilots, primarily backup astronauts, to man their planes. They will not be taking off for until a little later in the countdown. However, they will be moved out to their planes to stand by for starting their engines and takeoff. John Young will be flying a couple of patterns. He'll be flying the same trajectory that the orbiter would use on its descent to the shuttle landing facility from either end of the facility to ensure that a safe return to launch site could take place.
Okay, 565
The shuttle
complete.
training aircraft is a specially modified aircraft which was necessary in order to simulate the descent of the orbiter. The orbiter descends much faster through the atmosphere than an ordinary aircraft, and it was essential to program the engines so they could be thrown into reverse while it was flying in the air in order to get the sharp drop that was necessary. Commander John Young standing by to take off from the shuttle landing facility. The countdown coming up on the T-minus 30-minute point. At that point, the orbiting maneuver system, gaseous nitrogen engine will be pressurized for launch.
Okay.
Just a few seconds away from T-minus 30 minutes and counting. T-minus 30, T-minus 30 minutes and counting. That places us just 50 minutes away from launch of the second space shuttle.
Columbia, Houston, for simul radio check, how do you read?
On time for the liftoff at 10 a.m.
Roger, read you the same.
Standard Time this morning.
Houston,
This is
PLC,
shuttle launch control.
Roger, I read you loud and clear, and I have an altimeter setting for you of 30.01. It'll be runway 33, and one change to the cue card on the RTLS winds. Change the 7,000-foot wind to read 36020.
Okay, Dan, we got that. Thank you, sir.
Roger, and that completes our practice. We'll see you in the air.
You bet.
CPD, OTC.
This CPD go.
You want to pick up 567, power up GSE pick racks.
Copy and work.
CGLS, OTC.
Go ahead.
Can you verify 566?
Negative, that's per the clock.
Okay.
OTC, PD.
Go ahead.
Okay, 569 complete.
Copy. COFC, OTC.
Go ahead.
Turn on TVC active 1-2 power.
That's at work.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 26 minutes and counting. Pressurization of the orbiter maneuvering system with gaseous nitrogen has been completed for launch.
CGLS 212.
Go ahead, CGLS.
Verify
The landing and recovery director has ordered the chase aircraft to be manned. And John Young has taken off in the shuttle training aircraft to check out the weather for a possible return to launch site aboard. The closeout crew, which put the astronaut crew, Joe Engle and Dick Truly, into their seats and prepared them for the launch, have now cleared the pad area and are returning to the roadblock as all of the personnel are cleared from the impact limit lines around the pad. The countdown going smoothly as we come up on the T-minus 25-minute point and counting. This is shuttle launch control.
OTC, COSC.
Go ahead.
All right, step 14-0550 is complete.
550 complete. Copy.
All right, we need those 3 recorders taken offline. That's subsystem 2, recorder 6. Subsystem 1, recorders 1 and 6. OTC, DPS.
Go ahead.
Check 14-0581.
Copy. COFC, did you take them offline or do you want them taken offline?
I did not take them offline. They should be taken offline. You'll have to get with C1TC.
C1TC, OTC, did you copy that? C1TC, OTC. Go ahead, OTC. Okay, OFC, give him the numbers again.
Okay, need to take on the printer plotters, subsystem 2, recorder 6, subsystem 1, recorders 1 and 6, offline.
Copy that. CGLS, OTC.
Go ahead.
Pick up past DFS transfer by the clock.
Copy. OTC, CMQC.
Go ahead.
GLS has a deviation under step 582.
Copy, GLS.
Copy. OTC, CGLS.
Go ahead.
So verify 585.
Okay.
CDR, DPS.
Roger, CDR, Bill.
On CRT3, you have no asterisk by item 25.
That's verified.
Copy. OTC, check 0586.
Copy.
OTC, CGLS.
Go ahead.
Verify 587 and the Deeves after 582 and 585.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 21 minutes and counting. Just a minute away from one of our 10-minute build-in holds as we move towards a liftoff at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The primary computer is in the process of being transferred to the backup computer in order for both systems to have the same data. In case of a primary computer system's failure, the backup computer will take over control of the shuttle vehicle during the flight. During this upcoming planned build-in hold, all of the computers in the firing room are also configured with the proper programs for the final countdown. 18 seconds away from going into our 10-minute build-in hold. The atmosphere here in the firing room very expectant as we move closer to launch. T-minus 20 minutes and holding. This is a 10-minute build-in hold. One additional 10-minute build-in hold remains in the countdown for this morning's launch. That build-in hold will come at the T-minus 9-minute point.
OTC,
At the present time, everything reported satisfactory in all elements of the launch team as we wait for approximately 10 minutes while we reconfigure computers. The clock at T-minus 20 minutes and holding. This is shuttle launch control.
Okay.
And we'd like to do the dry sloop check at minus 9 minutes during the minus 9 hold and not perform the patch.
Okay, I copy that.
OTC, CGNC 212.
Go ahead.
TC align portion of pre-flight align is complete and all data is good.
Copy. DPS, OTC.
This is DPS.
598.99 not performed.
That would only be performed if we accumulate over 20 minutes of hold time. I don't 10 minutes for this launch. I don't think we can call this not performed until after we've completed the launch.
Okay, copy that. Okay, all personnel, I'd like to verify your program assignments at this time. PVD 605.
PVD verified.
CGSS 606.
CGSS verified.
CAFM 607.
CAFM verified.
FCP 608.
Verified.
SME 609.
Verified.
MPL 610.
Verified.
MPS 611.
Verified.
ECL 612.
Verified.
HYD 613.
HYD verified.
APU 614.
Verified.
HGD 615.
HGD verified.
OFS 616.
Verified.
COOS 617.
Verified.
CNSE CCSE 618.
Verified.
ISL 619.
Verified.
EPD 620.
EPD verified.
CGNC COFC 621.
Verified. GNC verified.
DPS 622.
DPS verified.
CCME 623.
Verified.
And COIE 624.
OIE verified.
QC 638, 639 complete.
Copy.
DPS OTC
DPS
645.
verified. AM 646.
Copy. Okay, all personnel after the transition to Ops 101, discontinue all LDB CMU reads for the remainder of the count. CGNC OTC.
CGNC M212.
You verified 649, right?
Negative, sir. We got 4 minutes to go.
4 minutes to go. Copy that.
OTC EPD.
Go ahead, EPD.
Could I get a QC lined up on 151 for the transfer at T-minus 15?
Okay, CMQC, you copy that?
Copy.
This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 20 minutes and holding. Approximately 5 minutes remaining in this second last build-in hold. The test team is briefed on recycle options during this period in case of an unplanned hold. And the landing convoy status is again verified, and the landing sites are verified ready for launch. Just prior to coming out of this hold, at the T-minus 20-minute point, all of the managers who are monitoring this launch this morning will be polled to give a go to come out of the hold. In just a few minutes, we should have completion of the alignment of the inertial measurement units as well. Everything going smoothly as we move towards a liftoff at 10 a.m. of the second space shuttle. This is Shuttle Launch Control.
CGLS OTC.
Go ahead.
You verify 648.
That's affirmed.
OTC, CMQC. Go ahead, QC. DLS has a deviation under 597. Repeat, please. DLS has a deviation under 597. That was performed. Okay. OTC, CGNC, 2 and 10. Go ahead. IME pre-flight line is complete, ready for transition to Ops 1. Step 14-649 and step 650 is complete also. Copy.
This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 20 minutes and holding. We have just about 1 minute remaining in this 10-minute build-in hold. The NASA test conductor has conducted a check of the major managers responsible for tonight's launch and have determined that they are ready to resume the countdown. The orbiter test conductor, booster test conductor, external tank test conductor, flight controllers, and other engineers have all indicated that they're ready to go this morning. The NASA convoy conductor has verified that the convoy at the KSC shuttle landing facility is ready. He's been informed that in case of a return to launch site abort, the landing will be on runway 33. Approximately 20 seconds remaining before release of this build-in hold. One other build-in hold remains in our countdown this morning. A 10-minute build-in hold at the T-minus 9-minute point.
Countdown clock will start on my mark.
The countdown clock about to pick up in 5 seconds.
3, 2, 1, mark.
T-minus 20 minutes and counting. The purge of the fuel cells, which provide both electricity for the orbiter and drinking water for the crew, is being performed. At this point, the computer is changed to a program known as Major Mode 101, which is the terminal countdown configuration. Also at this point, the primary computer is compared with the proper onboard computer to ensure that they are also ready for launch. The countdown going smoothly, T-minus 19 minutes, 25 seconds in counting. This is Shuttle Launch Control.
PFS GPC, stand by. PFS can be taken to 101. Okay, CDR, PLP, perform manual transition of PFS to 101. Okay, that's in work. OTC, POSC. Go ahead. Verify 668. Okay.
OTC, CMPL.
Go ahead.
Verify 676.
Copy. OTC, DPS, ops transition is complete. Copy, PLC. Dump is in progress. PLC, OTC.
Go ahead.
Configure path BFS horizontal set display.
We'll call that's in work.
OTC, NPS, verify 675. Copy.
OTC CGLS 212.
Go ahead.
We can verify the deeb at step 656.
Copy.
662, 663, and 664 not performed. And completed the deeb at step 670.
Copy.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 17 minutes, 15 seconds, and counting. The shuttle crew, Joe Engle and Dick Truly, have configured the backup computers for the compare test. And at the present time, a check of the gimbal system for moving the main engine on the orbiter is being conducted.
configuration.
I copy that.
Just a minute from now, the pilot and commander will be configuring the main propulsion helium subsystem cockpit switches for a launch, and the helium tank isolation valves will be opened. Just a few seconds after that, another check of the abort advisory system will be conducted.
Oh, I see, then you...
Everything going smoothly in our count, T-minus 16 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting. This is shuttle launch control.
OTC CGLS.
Go ahead.
Verify 709 per the deeb.
Copy. LTC.
Roger, go ahead.
Perform MPS helium configuration, reconfiguration.
Wilco, that's in work.
Okay, flight, Mila, NDD on 23, on 212.
It's flight.
Mila. Okay, CDR on my mark, board request switch to on. 3, 2, 1, mark. On.
Okay, verify on, Bright.
Yeah, flight abort A off, mark it.
Verify dim.
And B off, mark it.
Verified off.
OTC, COOS.
Okay, flight transmitting abort on.
Permission to close cross feeds? You gotta go.
Mark it.
It's going close.
And OTC PLT, the
This is
MPS
shuttle
helium
launch
reconfig is
control,
complete.
T-minus 15 minutes, and counting.
Get the abort light on, Joe.
We have just had word that the
Verified on.
launch safety area
Mark
is
it.
clear.
Off A.
The
Verified
booster
down.
test conductor
Mark it.
has
Off
ordered
B.
the gaseous
Verified
nitrogen purge of the solid rocket booster aft skirts to begin. And the chase aircraft presently at Patrick Air
Verified
Force
on.
Base have been ordered to
Okay,
start
and
their
mark it
engines.
A off.
A check of all test
And
support
B off.
team members have
And
verified
verified
that
off.
they are go for launch.
OTC, DPS. Go ahead. Check 683.
Abort advisory checks
And
are being performed again, once again on board the orbiter.
684 CGNC, 685, you can check. Copy. COOS, cross speed figure.
The countdown
can work.
continuing as
Take
we
a look.
come up on the
Okay.
T-minus 14 minute point.
OTC, 14,
And
684,
10
verify.
This
Copy.
is shuttle launch control.
OTC, COOS. Go ahead. Cross feeds are closed for flight. Copy. PLT, LTC.
Go ahead.
Want to report RCS quantities, please?
Okay. The forward RCS oxidizer is 95, fuel is 97. Left oxidizer is 107, fuel is 106. Right oxidizer 107, fuel 107.
Copy. OTC, SCP. Go ahead. Fuel cell purge is complete. I'd like to go to thermal conditioning, please. There we go. And TPD. TPD? TPD copies in work. OTC, CASC. Go ahead. Elon activation, step 666 complete. Copy.
OTC, DTS.
Go ahead, DTS.
T-minus 20-minute dump is complete. This compares R0. DTS is go.
Copy.
Test.
CDR, PLT, NTD in approximately 3 minutes. We will go into the planned hold at T-minus 9 for a duration of 10 minutes.
Roger, copy that on board.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 11 minutes, 40 seconds and counting. We've had word that the abort advisory checks were satisfactory. All of the Department of Defense Contingency Support Group are also ready for launch. Emergency aircraft and personnel are on station. We're coming up on the final build-in hold. That comes just a couple of minutes from now at the T-minus 9-minute point in the countdown. At the T-minus 11-minute point, the ground launch sequencer will take a quick look at all of the parameters it monitors to ensure that all systems are go for the final T-minus 9 terminal countdown. We've had word from the crew that the the data dump into the support computer on board the spacecraft has been satisfactory. The countdown moving smoothly as we come up on T-minus 10 minutes, 40 seconds and counting. This is shuttle launch control.
CAFC, OTC. Go ahead. You verify 772.
Negative. That's been moved by D's 1454 to after they run the slew test during the hold at -9.
Okay.
OTC, FCT.
Go ahead.
Fuel
This
cells
is
are up
shuttle
to
launch
thermal
control
conditioning
at
loads.
T-minus 9 minutes, 27 seconds and counting. The onboard computer programs have been read out on the orbiter, been compared with the
20
standard
seconds to hold
program,
point.
and have been verified to be proper for launch. All personnel in the firing room have been asked to remain seated, and the no smoking rule has gone into effect through the launch. Just 7 seconds away from the final build-in
5 seconds
hold,
to
a
hold point.
10-minute build-in hold that starts at T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 9
-9
minutes
holding.
and holding. During this particular hold period, the launch team is briefed on the way in which a halt can be called to the countdown. During the final 9 minutes of the count, a countdown clock hold can be requested by the NASA test conductor, the orbiter test conductor, tank test director, booster test conductor, flight crew flight director, and various safety officers, as well as the tracking station. At the present time, we know of no constraints towards a on-time launch at 10 a.m. this morning. The countdown clock at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. This is shuttle launch control.
Thank you a lot, guys. We sure are. We'll see you in about a week. Roger. Thank you guys a million. We know how you fought for us. We appreciate it.
This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. We have a little bit over 5 minutes remaining in this build-in hold before coming out of it at exactly 9 minutes before 10 a.m. Chief Test Conductor Norm Carlson has wished the crew a good flight from the launch team, and Joe Engle said, right, that they'll see us in about a week. When we pick up the count at the T-minus 9 minute mark, several important milestones will remain. As we come out of the hold, the ground launch sequencer will take over command of the remaining events, as well as monitoring the shuttle system's response. At T-minus 7 minutes, the orbiter access arm will retract. At T-minus 5 minutes, the auxiliary power units will be started. At T-minus 4 minutes, a purge of the main engines will start. At T-minus 2 minutes and 55 seconds, liquid oxygen pressurization will begin. At 1 minute and 57 seconds, liquid hydrogen pressurization will start, and at T-minus 31 seconds, the redundant set sequencer will take over. At that point, events happen far too quickly, and readings of the systems must be done too fast for humans to perform. The redundant set sequencer is located in the orbiter and utilizes the 4-flight computers. It has been monitoring the work of the Earthbound ground launch sequencer up to that point, but now command changes to the orbiter from the ground launch sequencer, with it acting as the backup. However, it must send a go indication to the orbiter prior to the time the main engine start command is to be given at T-minus 6.68 seconds. Otherwise, the count will stop and be recycled to the T-minus 9 minute point. After additional recycle events, the clock will recycle to the T-minus 20 minute point. We have just had a discussion between our NASA launch director, George Page, and his counterparts at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. He has been told there are no constraints to the launch at the present time. Just about 2 minutes away from picking up the count at the T-minus 9 minute point. This is Shuttle Launch Control.
QLT is go.
This is Shuttle Launch Control, T-minus 9 minutes and holding. Launch Director George Page asked for a slight delay in picking up the countdown at this point while he checked a couple of things which he heard during the countdown. He has just checked with the range safety officer to determine that a dropout of the main carrier wave that is used by the range safety people is not serious, and that a backup carrier signal is satisfactory. He is also checking on several other things, and we will get back to you as soon as a determination has been made to pick up the countdown. This is Shuttle Launch Control.
Loud and clear, George. Thank you, George, and we concur with everything you said. We'll get it off right. Down to 1 up here, George.
This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. Launch Director George Page has checked on a number of problems which had come up during the countdown to determine that there are no constraints at the present time. He has spoken to the launch crew and says, let's take our time. It's been a hard one. Watch all your data, but we're going to do it right. He has spoken to the crew, and to Joe Engle and to Dick Cooley, and said, we're going to give you a good one. We're in the process now of the test conductor going over the hold criteria with the launch team to let them know what point holds can be called and what the proper procedure is to call that hold. Launch Director George Page has told the launch team to take their time and do it right. We're standing by now to get word of the point at which we will be picking up at the T-minus 9 minutes point. This is Shuttle Launch Control. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 9 minutes and holding.
CDR's go.
Launch Director George
COT
Page has
is
just
go.
ordered that the clock will be picked up at 1 minute after 10 Eastern Standard Time this morning. We have just had a check of the various major managers for this morning's launch. Norm Carlson has conducted that check, and all of the managers have said they are ready to pick up at the proper time. The launch director, George Page, has just asked Deke Slayton, the OFT launch manager, if he is go, and Deke Slayton has said he is go for launch. We're about 2 minutes away from picking up the countdown at the T-minus 9 minute point, which would result in a launch at 10:10 a.m. this morning. This is shuttle launch control. This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 9 minutes and holding, just 15 seconds away from picking up the clock at the T-minus 9 minute point. All of the major managers have indicated they are ready to go, and we are at T-minus 9 minutes and counting. The launch sequence are now being controlled by the ground launch sequencer from now up to the T-minus 31 second point, when they'll switch to the onboard redundant set launch sequencer. The ground launch sequencer is part of the launch processing system and operates by relaying commands to the orbiter's onboard computers, which then reports back to the launch processing system that the commands have been executed. The primary job of the computers is to check that all of the launch commit criteria are being met, such as propellant loads, temperatures, pressures, and other measurements. The chase aircraft have been launched from Patrick Air Force Base to take part in the activities of this morning's launch. T-minus 8 minutes, 10 seconds, and counting.
Well, coming work.
T-minus 8 minutes and counting.
Okay, AC sensors aren't monitored.
The next major event we have coming up is the crew access arm retraction, which comes at the T-minus 7 minute point. T-minus 7 minutes, 30 seconds and counting. Everything going smoothly in these last few minutes of the countdown, leading toward a liftoff at 10:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning. Five seconds away from retraction of the T-minus 7 minutes, and there goes retraction of the crew access arm. This is the walkway attached to the service structure and used by the crew to walk across to the orbiter. The crew has been advised to lower their helmet visors, and at T-minus 6 minutes, we'll begin preparations for starting of the auxiliary power unit. The APUs are turbine devices fueled by decomposing hydrazine liquid, which provides hydraulic power to change the angle of the engines, to operate the aerodynamic surfaces, engine valves, and during landing, operate the landing gear. Coming up on the T-minus 6-minute point in our countdown.
That's in work.
T-minus 6 minutes and counting. The pilot, Dick Truly, has begun the APU pre-start activity.
APU pre-start is complete.
And it is complete. The development flight instrumentation, which measures stresses on the orbiter during flight, have been turned on. Recorders stop for playback after landing. T-minus 5 minutes, 40 seconds, and counting. T-minus 5 minutes, 30 seconds.
Roger, they are gray.
And pilot Dick Truly has signified the auxiliary power units are ready to be started. T-minus 5 minutes, 15 seconds, and counting. We're coming up on the T-minus 5 minute point. 2, 1, T-minus 5 minutes.
Go for APU start.
We have a go for APU start, and the start sequence has begun. T-minus 4 minutes, 44 seconds, and counting.
That's in work.
Minus 430.
T-minus 4 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting. We have a total of 16 minutes of hydrazine supply for running the APUs prior to a liftoff.
Okay, APU start is complete. Looks good on board.
APU start
And
is
heaters are
complete.
reconfigured.
415.
T-minus 4 minutes, 10 seconds, and counting.
Minus 4 minutes. Mark.
T-minus 4 minutes.
Sequence 4.
We have begun nitrogen purge of the main engines on the orbiter. T-minus 3 minutes, 50 seconds, and counting. T-minus 3 minutes, 45 seconds. The elevon, speed brake, and rudder are being moved through a pre-programmed pattern to assure that they'll be ready to be used in flight. Little exhaust from the APUs coming out the tail of the orbiter, indicating that all is well. T-minus 3 minutes, 28 seconds, and counting. The shuttle is now on internal power. However, the fuel cells are still receiving their fuels from the ground support system through the tail service mast for 1 more minute. T-minus 3 minutes, 15 seconds. The profile checks of the aero surfaces have been completed and checked. T-minus 3 minutes, 5 seconds. The engine gimbal or movement check is underway to assure that they're ready for flight control. T-minus 2 minutes, 55 seconds, and counting. The LOX valve on the external tank has been closed and pressurization begun. After the tank is pressurized, the hold capability is limited.
Clear caution warning memory.
Okay, C&W memory is
T-minus
clear.
2 minutes, 40 seconds. We have cleared the caution and warning memory. The gaseous oxygen vent arm is being retracted.
Minus 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Mark.
T-minus 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and counting. The fuel cell ground supply of oxygen and hydrogen has been terminated, and the vehicle is on its onboard supply. T-minus 2 minutes, 15 seconds. The main engines have been gimbaled to their start position, and the pressure on the liquid oxygen tank is at flight pressure. Coming up on the 2 minute point.
Roger, that's in work.
T-minus 2 minutes and counting.
Hydrogen free press.
The liquid hydrogen vent valve has been closed and flight pressurization underway. T-minus 1 minute, 50 seconds and counting.
Copy. That's 145.
The gaseous oxygen vent arm is almost fully retracted. T-minus 1 minute, 40 seconds and counting. T-minus 1 minute, 30 seconds, 90 seconds away from launch of STS-2. T-minus 1 minute, 15 seconds, and counting. The liquid hydrogen tank is at flight pressure. Coming up on the 1 minute point in our countdown, everything going smoothly. T-minus 1 minute and counting. T-minus 50 seconds. The firing system for the ground suppression water is armed. T-minus 40 seconds. Development flight instrument recorders are on. T-minus 37 seconds. We're about just a few seconds away from switching control of launch to the computer sequencer. We have control of the countdown now being conducted by the launch sequencers on board the orbiter. T-minus 20 seconds and counting. The SRB hydraulic power units have started. The SRB nozzles have been moved to start position. Coming up on 10, T-minus 10, 9. We have go for main engine start. We have main engine start. Minus 3, 2, 1. We have ignition. We have ignition of the solid rocket boosters and liftoff. Liftoff of America's space shuttle, and the space shuttle has cleared the tower.
Houston now controlling. Mission control confirms roll maneuver started. 20 seconds. Thrust looks good. 25 seconds. Roll maneuver completed. 30 seconds. Columbia now 1 nautical mile in altitude. 35 seconds. Status check and mission control by Flight Director Neil Hutchinson. Given a go at 40 seconds.
Columbia, Houston, your go at 40.
Roger, go at 40. And master arm, and it's the...
48 seconds. Throttling down for Max.
Roger, ignore the master alarm, Columbia.
Okay, dokes.
Coming up on period of maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. Mark 1 minute. Columbia now 5 nautical miles in altitude, 3 nautical miles downrange. Velocity now reading 2,300 feet per second. 1 minute, 8 seconds. Pass through max Q. Columbia still looking good. Throttling engines back to 100%. Mark 1 minute, 20 seconds. Columbia now 9 nautical miles in altitude, 6 nautical miles downrange. Velocity now reading 3,000 feet per second. Mark 1 minute, 35 seconds. Columbia now 14 nautical miles in altitude, 10 nautical miles downrange.
And Columbia, Houston, you can expect an evap, C&W.
1 minute, 45 seconds. Coming up on negative seats where altitude's too high for
Columbia,
jet
Houston,
seat.
your negative seats.
Roger, negative 6.
Mark 1 minute, 55 seconds. Columbia now 21 nautical miles in altitude, 18 nautical miles downrange. Velocity now reading 5,000 feet per second. Standing by now for solid rocket booster separation.
Okay, PC lesson 50 at 205.
Roger, copy. PC lesson 50.
Okay, looks like we got a good SRB 7.
Confirm good
Roger,
solid
copy,
rocket
Sep. Looks
booster
good to us.
separation.
Smooth as glass, Houston.
2 minutes, 25 seconds. Onboard guidance is converging as programmed. Columbia is now steering for its precise window in space for main engine cutoff. Columbia now 35 nautical miles in altitude, 40 nautical miles downrange.
Okay, Houston, the temps are coming down and looking good.
Roger, Columbia, thank you.
Mark 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Columbia now has 2-engine landing capability at Rota Naval Air Station, Spain. 2 minutes, 54 seconds. Status check and mission control. Given a go for 3 minutes.
Columbia, Houston, you're looking good at 3.
Roger, copy. Looking good at 3.
Mark 3 minutes, 8 seconds. Columbia now 46 nautical miles in altitude, 66 nautical miles downrange. Columbia's 3 main engines continue to run smoothly. Engle and Truly really moving out now. Velocity now reading 6,700 feet per second. Mark 3 minutes 30 seconds. Columbia now 52 nautical miles in altitude, 85 nautical miles downrange. Velocity now reading 7,000 feet per second. Return status check in the mission control by Flight Director Neil Hutchinson. Engle and Truly given a go to continue. Mark 3 minutes 55 seconds. Columbia now 58 nautical miles in altitude, 112 nautical miles downrange. Velocity now reading 7,900 feet per second. 4 minutes 8 seconds. Standing by for a negative return and pressed ATO call-ups by Capcom Brandon Stein.
Stand by for negative return. Mark, negative return.
Roger that. Sounds good.
With that call up, Engle and Truly now committed to space travel. They can no longer turn around and return to the launch site. 4 minutes 35 seconds. Columbia now 60.
Columbia Houston, you're pressed to ATO.
Something pressed ATO. Looking good here.
4 minutes 44 seconds. For the first time, Columbia has forward abort to orbit capability on 2 engines by throttling engines up to 107%. 5 minutes. Columbia now 68 nautical miles in altitude, 189 nautical miles downrange. Velocity now reading 10,300 feet per second.
Columbia Houston, your normal throttles.
Copy that. Normal throttles.
5 minutes 14 seconds. That call up by Capcom Brandon Stein says that Engle and Truly now capable of abort to orbit on 2 engines without throttling up Columbia's engines. 5 minutes 25 seconds. Columbia now 68 nautical miles in altitude, 228 nautical miles downrange. Mark 5 minutes 40 seconds. Standing by for press to MECO.
Columbia Houston, you're pressed to MECO.
Roger. Press to MECO.
5 minutes.
Good show, Dean. This is really smooth.
5 minutes 55
Glad you enjoyed
seconds. The press to MECO call from Capcom Brandon Stein says, should Columbia lose but 1 engine, press on, keep flying forward. Columbia's engines have enough energy to achieve
Columbia
normal
Houston,
attitude.
your single engine rota and everything's looking good.
Okay, Dan. Single engine motor and looking good here.
Mark 6 minutes 18 seconds. That report from Capcom Brandon Stein indicates if a 2-engine failure occurred, Columbia is capable of an emergency landing at Rota Naval Air Station, Spain. Mark 6 minutes 30 seconds. Columbia now 68 nautical miles in altitude, 346 nautical miles downrange. Velocity now reading 14,900 feet per second. Mark 6 minutes 50 seconds. Columbia now 67 nautical miles in altitude, 397 nautical miles downrange. Columbia pitching over now, diving to increase velocity, decrease altitude, giving Columbia her most favorable attitude. 7 minutes 5 seconds. Standing by now for single engine press to MECO.
Columbia Houston, your single engine pressed to MECO.
Roger that. Single engine press and looking good, Dan.
7 minutes 20 seconds. That report says that Engle and Truly can achieve normal engine cutoff targets even if 2 engines go out. Mark 7 minutes 30 seconds. Columbia now 64 nautical miles in altitude, 511 nautical miles downrange. Velocity now reading 20,000 feet per second. 7 minutes 43 seconds. G-forces building for Engle and Truly now, coming up to 3 Gs. Columbia now 63 nautical miles in altitude, 562 nautical miles downrange. Mark 8 minutes.
Columbia Houston, your go at 8.
Roger, go at 8.
Columbia's main engines slowly being throttled back now. Should be throttled at 65% at 6 seconds before main engine cutoff. Columbia now 63 nautical miles in altitude, 645 nautical miles downrange. Velocity now reading 24,000 feet per second. 8 minutes, 28 seconds. Standing by now for main engine cutoff.
Okay, Houston, we got a good bingo.
Roger, we copy Columbia.
Confirmed shutdown. Columbia now returned to space, not yet returned to orbit. Standing by now for external tank separation.
Columbia, Houston, you can ignore the IMU bites.
Roger, Houston, and we've had ET SEP.
Roger on the SEP.
8 minutes, 58 seconds. Confirm external tank separation.
Okay, Houston, ET SEP, and the rates are good.
Columbia.
Roger, we copy.
Columbia now performing an evasive maneuver, moving below and beyond the external tank. 9 minutes, 15 seconds. Go, no go, status check, emission control for the first ohms burn.
Roger, Columbia, we're looking at them. Columbia, Houston, your go for nominal ohms 1 and for APU shutdown on time.
Okay, Dan, and we're maneuvering to attitude now.
Roger.
9 minutes, 44 seconds. Columbia now maneuvering ohms 1 burn attitude using the two 6,000-pound thrust engines. Ohms 1 will be posi grade, moving Columbia forward and higher on her flight path, placing Columbia in orbit.
Columbia, Houston, we're convinced those IMU were software bites right at MECO, no problem.
Okay, and we got free on loop, I believe it's about 10, but we'll catch it in a minute as soon as we get the ohms burn off.
Roger, and the VAP is shut down. We'll need it cycled off and then back to the primary on.
Okay, we got a good ohms ignition, and the guidance looks good. And,
Roger.
and I understand you want the free on loop cycle off and back on?
Negative, that's the VAP.
Flash your VAP, gotcha.
10 minutes, 48 seconds. A burning status check in the control center.
And Columbia, Houston, we're about 40 seconds from LOS. Both ohms engines look good going over the hill. Configure LOS. We'll see you at Madrid.
Okay, Dan, we'll see you there. Burn looks good and steady.
Shuttle control, Houston, 11
and
minutes.
the flasher VAPs are coming down.
Roger, thank you.
And we've just got an APU 3 temp, and I'm on B on the boiler controller.
Roger, and we see that, Columbia.
11 minutes, 30 seconds. Eleven minutes, 50 seconds. Loss of signal now with Columbia through Bermuda. The next station to acquire will be Madrid. This is Shuttle Control, Houston. This is Shuttle Control, Houston. 12 minutes, 12 seconds. We had an extended time of coverage and saw the ohms engine cutoffs for the first ohms burn. 12 minutes, 25 seconds. This is Shuttle Control, Houston. This is Shuttle Control Houston at 14 minutes, 18 seconds. A Flight Dynamics officer reports on the status of the first ohms burn. Time of ignition was at 10 minutes, 40 seconds. The delta V for the burn was 139.8 feet per second. The burn duration, 1 minute, 19 seconds. And the ohms 1 burn resulted in an apogee of 120 nautical miles and a perigee of 53 nautical miles. We're now about 4 minutes away from reacquiring Columbia through Madrid. This is Shuttle Control Houston. This is Shuttle Control Houston, 18 minutes 30 seconds, standing by now for reacquisition of Columbia through Madrid. We'll stand by as the conversation picks up between Capcom Brandon Stein and Columbia's flight crew, Joe Engle and Dick Truly. Now receiving data through Madrid.
Hello, Columbia. This is Houston talking to you through Madrid. We have you for 4 minutes. Configure AOS.
Okay, Dan, we'll do it. We have good ohms burn, good shutdown, and everything's looking good aboard.
Roger. We saw the ohms cutoff look good to us, and one point of interest, we noticed that the right ohms oxidizer gauge hung up. and it's indicating about 14% high.
Roger, Dan. Right arms, roger, that is at 14% high.
Roger, and we're standing by to watch the gimbal drive check.
Okay. Roger, and while Joe is doing that, let me tell you about APU 3. Dan?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, somewhere, I think shortly after the Ohms 1 burn up, but I'm sure you saw it, we got a APU temp message. It was the APU 3 oil temp. It was indicating about 300 degrees. I went to Bravo on the power heater, and it got up to about the limit just before the MPS dump was complete, so I actually shut it down prior to the dump being complete, and did the rest of the procedure normally.
Roger, we copy that. Thank you.
Okay, Dan, secondary actuator check is coming. Mark.
Roger.
And Houston, secondary is complete. Primary is getting set up.
Roger.
Okay, primary check coming. Mark.
Roger, copy. And Columbia, Houston, we'll give you a gimbal status at Indy. Meanwhile, your go for Ohms 2.
Okay, go for Ohms 2. Thank you, Dan.
That was Capcom Brandon Stein speaking to Commander Joe Engle, giving a go for the second Ohms burn. 21 minutes, 50 seconds.
And Houston POT, I've completed MPS power down and the vacuum inerting activation. One thing that you may notice, MPS may notice on his data, was the MPS H2 press line vent hit. I put it to open and then bumped it back to GPC after a few seconds, put it back to open, and then completed the procedure as written.
Roger, Columbia, we see that. It looks good to us.
Okay. Okay, Houston, and Dan, if you concur, we'll go ahead and start the on-maneuver to Ohms 2 attitude now.
Roger, we concur. We're 30 seconds from LOS. Configure LOS. We'll be talking with you over Indy at 36 plus 00.
Okay, we'll see you there. Roger, and one more thing, Dan, the ET umbilical door is closed, no problems.
Roger, thank you.
This is Shuttle Control Houston, 23 minutes, 25 seconds mission elapsed time. We've had loss of signal now with Columbia through Madrid. The next station to acquire will be Indian Ocean Station in 12 minutes, 35 seconds. This is Shuttle Control Houston. This is Shuttle Control Houston at 29 minutes, mission elapsed time. Flight Dynamics Officer Jay Green reports on his predictions for the second OMS burn. OMS 2 would have a time of ignition of 41 minutes, 58 seconds, a delta V of 121 feet per second. The burn duration should be 1 minute, 13 seconds, and would result in an apogee of 120 nautical miles and a perigee of 120 nautical miles for Columbia. Meanwhile, we're about 6.5 minutes away from reacquiring Columbia through Indian Ocean Station. 3 major events must occur in the next few hours for Engle and Truly aboard Columbia to stay on orbit. First, the onboard computer system must be reloaded from Ops 1 to Ops 2. This is needed to align the inertial platforms. Also, one computer will be loaded with Ops 3, the entry program, and put to sleep, taken offline. Second, the payload bay doors must be opened to provide cooling through the radiators to Columbia. The flash evaporator has a lifetime of several hours. Third, at least 2 of the 3 fuel cells must be purged with hydrogen and oxygen to rid the impurities. The fuel cells can survive only so many hours without purging. In the mission, they'll be purged about every 8 hours. We'll follow these 3 key activities as they occur. At 31 minutes mission elapsed time, this is Shuttle Control Houston. This is Shuttle Control Houston at 36 minutes mission elapsed time, standing by now for reacquisition of signal with Columbia through Indian Ocean Station. Processing data now through Indian Ocean.
Columbia, Houston, talking to you through Indian Ocean Station. Configure AOS. We have you for 6 minutes.
Okay, Dan, we hear you with a little bit of an echo.
Roger, we got an echo on you also. And Columbia, I have Ohms propellant pad, the cross-feed Q for you when you're ready to copy for your Ohms 2.
Just a second, Dan.
We have about 6 minutes remaining on this pass.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's for your Q card. It's the cross-feed Q. It's 45% on the left and 50% on the right.
Okay, copy that. 45 left and 50 right.
Roger.
We've got a couple of APU thermal messages. We've got a Vero BFS thermal display for pump valve 2 in the first slot under APU number 1.
Roger, Columbia, we'll take a look.
And also the STS system, Houston, we're getting a low pressure on the left and center medium systems. Looks to me like the back inertia was just complete terminated a little early, and you can understand the decrease in pressures. And I terminated further procedure on page 316.
Roger, thank you.
And Houston PLT, we're waiting on TIG -2 now to turn the recorder zone. We're configured for the burn.
Roger.
Shuttle Control Houston, 40 minutes mission elapsed time. About 2 minutes away now from the ignition of the second Ohms burn.
Columbia, Houston, for your APU, we'd like that APU pump valve cooling to Bravo. Bravo to auto for that problem.
Okay, Bravo is in auto. Do you want to leave A in auto or turn it off?
We'd like Alpha off, and we're standing by to watch the burn. The gimbal check looked good.
Okay, Dan, thank you. We're configured for the burn.
Columbia now in attitude now, proper attitude for the second Ohms burn.
Okay, we got 2 good engines on Ohms 2 burn.
Roger.
Burning status check in the control center. Joe Engle reports 2 good engines.
In Columbia, Houston, Ohms 2 is looking good to us. We're 40 seconds from LOS. You can configure LOS. We'll see you at Madrid at, at Yergadi at 52 plus 00.
Okay, Daniel. We'll see you at Yargady, and the Ohms engines are looking good here. Guidance is stable as a rock.
This is Shuttle Control Houston, 43 minutes mission elapsed time, a loss of signal now with Columbia through Indian Ocean. Next station to acquire is Yargity in 9 minutes. This is Shuttle Control Houston. This is Shuttle Control Houston at 45 minutes mission elapsed time. The flight surgeon reports the following heart rates for the crew of Columbia. At launch, Commander Joe Engle's rates read 110 with a high of 120. Pilot Dick Trueley's rates read at launch 86 with a high of 94. At 45 minutes 34 seconds, this is Mission Control Houston. This is Shuttle Control Houston, 52 minutes mission elapsed time, standing by now for reacquisition of Columbia through Yargity. Discussion should center here on the go-no-go status for payload bay door operations.
Hello, Columbia. This is Houston talking to you, UHF through Yargity. We have you for 6 minutes and 30 seconds. And Columbia, Houston, coming to you through Yargity. We have you for 6 minutes on UHF. Columbia, Columbia. This is Houston talking to you through Yargity. We have you for 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Over.
Okay, Dan, we're reading you loud and clear. How do you read?
Columbia, Columbia. This is Houston. We read you loud and clear. We're on manual key procedures, so it'll be a little bit slower than normal. Over.
Roger, we copy that, Dan, and we're in the PDP now. Get configured.
Columbia, Columbia. Roger, we copy. Thank you. Over.
And Houston PLC, yes, we hear you, Dan. Understand your manual key. And I'm in the checklist stage 1-5, and we're getting ready to go to opposite.
Columbia, Columbia. Roger, we copy. Over.
Shuttle Control Houston, 54 minutes mission elapsed time. That was pilot Dick Trueley reporting that he's getting ready to reload the onboard computer system to Ops 2, the on-orbit program.
And Columbia, Houston, they got the Quindar back on UHF, and this is a quick check. Over.
And Houston PLC, if you read, we're on the way to opposite.
Roger, Columbia, we copy. Thank you. Columbia, Columbia, Houston. We're 30 seconds from LOS, and we'll be talking to you through Aurora in about 2.5 minutes.
Okay, Dan, we're reading you okay, and we'll see you at Aurora.
This is Shuttle Control Houston, 59 minutes, mission elapsed time. Loss of signal now with Columbia. The next station to acquire will be Aurora in less than 2 minutes. Mission Control Houston, 1 hour, 1 minute, mission elapsed time. We're now receiving data through Aurora.
Hello, Columbia. This is Houston. We're talking to you through Aurora, and we have you for probably about 2.5, 3 minutes.
Roger, Dan. Stand by just a second. Roger, Dan. Howdy, Ray.
Roger, Columbia. Reading you loud and clear, and I do have a flight note, and we do have you for 4 minutes.
Okay, stand by just a second. Okay, Dan. I'm ready to copy.
Roger. We're trying to troubleshoot that APU-1 cooling problem, and to do that, we'd like you on panel A12 to turn off APU heater, tank fuel line, water system, 1 alpha. That's in the middle row.
Okay, 1 alpha is off. I think Joe has been back here configuring some switches, and it may have already been off. I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
Now, 1 Bravo is in auto.
Roger, we copy.
And the DIPS transition is essentially complete. I'm almost to the end of it, and with no problems, Dan.
Roger, looks good to us.
Dan, you wouldn't believe this. This is fun.
I was figuring you'd say something like that sooner or later. Roger, in Columbia, we have some TMBUs coming to you.
Okay, go.
And Columbia, Houston, the verniers are not go yet. They're still warming up.
Okay, Dan, thanks.
And Columbia, Houston, on that APU fuel tank, fuel line, water system heater, we'd like 1 Bravo off also, OFF.
Okay, stand by.
And Columbia, Houston, we're coming up on 30 seconds to LOS. We would like you to remain on primary jets until we get another good look at the verniers over the States. And we'll be talking to you over the States at 1+30.
Okay, Dan, we'll see you there, and we'll be on the primaries.
Okay, thank you.
This is Shuttle Control Houston, 1 hour, 5 minutes, mission elapsed time. Loss of signal now with Columbia. Mission Control will next acquire Columbia in about 25 minutes on her first stateside pass. At 1 hour, 6 minutes, mission elapsed time, this is Shuttle Control Houston. This is Shuttle Control Houston, 1 hour, 18 minutes, mission elapsed time. Although out of station contact, we assume that the crew aboard Columbia is involved with work on the payload bay door operations. Slow and deliberate process. Both Engle and Truly are at the back station, the aft flight deck. Left is Truly, right is Engle. Prior to the start of the operation, the theodolite must be installed and sightings made on the aft bulkhead and right-hand starboard door targets and the right-hand and left-hand port longeron targets. Truly is operating the keyboard and switches for the latch and the door opening. The sequence goes as follows. Open the center line and right-hand bulkhead latches. Open the right-hand door a small distance. Then take theodolite sightings on the left-hand door and record the values. Open the left-hand bulkhead latches. Open the left-hand door a small amount sufficient to clear the seals and relieve all stress. Close and latch the left-hand door, then take theodolite sightings on the left-hand door, then the right-hand door. Close the right-hand door until near close position, then take theodolite sightings on the right-hand door targets. Visually confirm that the extended guide roller will contact the centerline latch striker plates within the boundaries of the go-no-go marks. Close and latch right-hand door, then take theodolite sightings on right-hand door targets. After completion of the door initial alignment tests, the payload bay door automatic open sequence begins, reopening the doors. Then the radiators, which are inside the door panels, are deployed away from the doors. We're at 1 hour, 20 minutes mission elapsed time, less than 10 minutes away now from reacquiring Columbia. This is Shuttle Control Houston.
Four, 5, 1, 2.
This is Shuttle Control Houston, 1 hour, 30 minutes mission elapsed time, standing by now for reacquisition of Columbia on her first stateside pass.
Hello, Columbia, talking to you through the States. We have you for 15 minutes and 30 seconds.
Roger, Dan. We've got the theodolite set up. I'm running a couple minutes behind and just now bringing up the TV cameras.
Roger, Columbia, and your go for verniers. The temps look good. And for the CDR, we would like to verify that the TV is aimed and ready for downlink.
Not yet, Dan, but we'll get it. It's in work, Dan.
Roger, and when you get it, if you give us a call, we appreciate it.
You bet your life.
This is Shuttle Control Houston, 1 hour, 32 minutes mission elapsed time. We've observed no movement of the payload bay door latches at the present time.
And Columbia, Houston, we have a configuration. We'd like a couple switches checked and thrown here.
Okay, Dan. What panel are they on?
Roger, they're on 812, and we'd like all 3 APU heater, gas generator, fuel pump switches off.
Okay, Dan, all 3 of them are off.
Roger, thank you.
Shuttle Control Houston, 1 hour, 34 minutes mission elapsed time. Still no movement on the payload bay door latches.
Houston, Columbia.
Go ahead, Columbia.
Yeah, Dan, we're not able to get any picture on the monitor from camera Delta. All the others seem to be working okay, and we're going to run Alpha around and take a look at it, see if we can see anything wrong.
Roger, we copy.
Shuttle Control Houston, 1 hour, 36 minutes mission elapsed time. That was Commander Joe Engle reporting that he couldn't get a picture on camera Delta at the present time. That's the color camera on board.
Columbia, Houston, on camera Delta, we're going to try and command it on right now, see if we can get it working for you.
Okay, mighty fine, Dan. I can't swing Alpha around far enough to see it.
Roger, we're going to give it a whirl and we'll let you know.
Okay. And correction on that, I can swing it around, but there's some stuff in the way.
Roger, copy. And Columbia, Houston, we'd like you to configure for the verniers as soon as you can get to it.
Okay, we'll do that. Houston, Columbia, we're configured BR vernier now, and would you like the verniers off on the primaries?
Roger, Columbia, we see the verniers on now, and we'd like the configuration on page 1-6.
Okay, thank you, sir.
1 hour, 39 minutes mission elapsed time. This is Shuttle Control Houston as Columbia continues on this stateside pass, approximately 7 minutes remaining.
And Columbia, Houston, we have no joy on turning Delta on either. We did turn on one of the aft ones and it looks good, and we're going to give you the cameras for your payload bay door work.
Okay, Dan. Well, we'll hope we can get it working here for long.
Roger.
Shuttle Control Houston, 1 hour 40 minutes mission elapsed time. That was Capcom Dan Brandenstein reporting that Mission Control was only able to command the aft camera on board. Therefore, we will have no color television of the payload bay door operations. Shuttle Control Houston, 1 hour 41 minutes mission elapsed time.
And Columbia, Houston, be advised we have camera A on the flag and is looking great.
Okay. And Houston PLT, be advised I'm doing the satellite stuff, but boy, it is so dark that you can barely pick out the targets, and it's going to take me a little while.
Roger, we copy.
That report from Columbia, the theodolite markings are difficult to see. Shuttle Control Houston, 1 hour 42 minutes mission elapsed time. We have approximately 4 minutes and 20 seconds remaining on this stateside pass.
And Columbia, Houston, I have a flight note for you.
Okay, go ahead, Dan.
Roger, on that panel 812, that APU heater tank / fuel line / water system 1 Bravo that you turned off a few minutes ago, we'd like it back to auto.
You cut out a little bit there, Dan. Say you want water loop Bravo off for a moment and then back to, water loop 2 off and then back to Bravo?
Negative. That on panel 812, the APU heater tank, fuel line, water system 1 Bravo, you turned it off a few minutes ago. We'd like it back to auto now.
Okay, Dan. 1 Bravo is off now.
Roger, thank you.
Pressure on that. It's in auto.
Roger. And Columbia, Houston, we have a state vector coming your way.
Okay.
And Columbia, the state vector and arrest mat are on board now.
Okay, thank you, Dan.
And Columbia, Houston, we're 30 seconds from LOS. We'll be talking to you through Dakar at 1+54.
Okay, we'll see you there, Dan.
This is Shuttle Control Houston, 1 hour 46 minutes mission elapsed time. About to lose signal with Columbia through the stateside pass. The next station to acquire will be Dakar in approximately 8 minutes. That will be a UHF station only. Meanwhile, the crew aboard Columbia appears to be having a tough time with the theodolite sightings. We saw no movement of the latches, payload bay door latches, during the stateside pass. at 1 hour 47 minutes mission elapsed time. This is Shuttle Control Houston.